And we're live!
Back for another episode, season 3.
Wow,
I lost count of what show this is.
This is a long awaited show. We are so excited to be able to do this. It's been some time,
It's been a while, and you know what? I know you know the three of us, but we have a very special guest here. Who's going to introduce herself.
Welcome.
See you, Chava.
Thank you for the warm welcome.
Chava Shaul is here. Chava, tell us what you do.
So, hi everyone. I am so honored to be amongst these fantastic individuals that Hashem blessed the world with. So, thank you so much. Thank you. My name is Chava Shaul of Kober. Hyphenated. I just got married. Thank you.
Mazel tov, mazel tov. We should cheers with some hot tea, right? Cheers, everybody, to many good happy years and a long healthy life.
Amen. Amen. So I am a Shadchanit for almost 11 years. I'm a dating coach as well. I co-admin a fantastic singles group called Jewish Divine Soulmates on Facebook. We'll post the link below. We are dedicated Shadchanim from around the world. A team of 21 with a database of over 25,000 singles around the world.
You should say it a little bit louder. I don't know if they can hear you.
How many matchmakers?
So we have 21 dedicated matchmakers, 26 with 5 part-time, 6 part-time. We can dedicate X amount of hours. We have a dedicated team of Shadchanim around the world. We have therapists on board to help during the dating process. Thank you Hashem for that. And we have 8 weddings this year alone. Thank you.
Wow.
Especially
during COVID. That's a big one.
Israel, we're number 8.
The year isn't over yet.
Right. Yes. Right. So the year just started, so we're going to try to maybe double that, maybe triple, who knows.
Wow.
We were actually going to do a live with Chava some time ago, but we weren't able to do it, but we're happy that we actually got you today because we know your schedule is super duper busy, and the fact that you were able to take a chunk out of your time to be here, because actually I know Yocheved, when you posted it, there was a few people that came over to myself. I know they came to you, they came to us, to asking different questions about dating, because this is really a hot topic. I'm a psychotherapist, and I have a practice of young adults who are in the dating field and have so many questions, and unfortunately are disappointed with some things that are going on in the dating world and how what the whole approach is, how they're taking it on. And the fact that we have you here today, we can kind of straighten up a lot of these taboo questions. So my name is Avi.
I'm actually going to interrupt for 1 second. Chava, let me help you get onto your group, because Chava does have a group, as she mentioned, and I'm going to just tag the show there so that her
Are you live on your Facebook?
No, let me just make sure. Yes, I am. It's just
so as they get this all set up, my name is Avi. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, and we have Esther. Esther, tell us a little bit about what you do. I mean, everyone knows who Esther is, but tell us.
That was so cute, Avi. I'm a PA. I work as a health coach. Some people I try to help with life coaching, and just in general, I just totally enjoy doing holiday events. That's like something that I've just come to love, and I just actually came off of a bar mitzvah challah party that I was able to kind of do the ceremony with them and come here, and it was really special. I feel very blessed. I mean, I'm very lucky to be part of this.
You are awesome, Esther. Thank you for all that you do for our
And
community.
someone who needs absolutely no introduction, Miss Yocheved right over here, who is a mommy, who is a wife, who is a PA, who is a community leader, and a public speaker, and the list goes on and on. But besides, of course, Chava is the superstar of the show tonight. But besides Chava, we actually have a super harsh inspiration. Well, actually, we're gonna be going.
And who else was? Besides Adam.
We're gonna be going into Parshas Noah.
Keep the rules of
And tonight, we wanted to start the show off with somebody very, very special. Are you guys ready? This is a highlight of what I want to start. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? Are you ready? What I got here?
Oh my God.
Here we got a live python. Snake. All right, Yocheved, you are first.
Keep it away from me.
So Yocheved, stick your hands out.
That's okay. I trust you.
You got it. We are live, everybody. Come on, Yocheved, you can do it. Do you guys want Yocheved to hold the steak?
What do you want me to do?
Just hold it. There you go.
No,
There you go. There you go.
Can
You can do it.
No.
There you go.
I don't mind it.
Here you go, Esther.
Please don't.
Oh no, Esther, this is for you.
I don't know how I feel about his mouth.
Here you go. You good.
Okay, here, Rabba, I'll let you record me. Take my good side.
Why do you have to pass it
Here you go.
over?
Just hold it. There you go.
I can't
There you
even.
go. Just take it.
I'm nervous.
There you go. Two
You're
hands.
fine not doing
There you go.
this.
2 hands.
This was not
There
planned, by
you
the
go.
way.
Hold it together. Hold it
So
up.
this is not planned. The snake, of course, wants to come at me.
This is George, everybody.
George.
So he wanted to make an appearance for Parshas Noach that's coming up.
Uh-huh.
Are you guys ready to get this party started?
Yes.
He's like, oh
Yeah.
yes. All right, here we go.
Let's put George away.
How about we need you back?
Let's put George away.
All right,
I'm
George.
really
Go
proud of
back.
myself.
Go back to your cave.
I got an excuse to
How
Ava,
about
you are something else. So we are. So that's actually George. He's a banana ball python,
That was a
and
great
he's a therapy snake. Actually, we use him when we work with kids, with teens. And
Now I'm traumatized.
You're
I
not
was gonna
traumatized.
say, like,
You're
okay.
So now that we got the show, now that we got everybody riled up, we are going to be starting the real show. Chava, are you ready for these hard-hitting questions?
Go ahead. I don't
All right.
sugarcoat.
Before we start, I just want to say, if anybody has singles that are looking to get married, if you're married, because even though we're married for many years, there's always something you can learn and advance your marriage. Marriage is a forever cycle. You could be married 60 years and you're still growing and learning. So if you're married, the show is for you as well. Post questions or comments. We will be looking at them throughout the show, and we will also be answering them. At the end of the show, as usual, we have our game plan.
Yeah.
We all have questions. We don't know each other's questions,
Right.
so I'm really looking forward.
Also, before the show started, we asked other people, singles, of questions that they had on their mind that they wanted to ask you, Chava, and
Sure.
see what your take on is on it. So, first off, tell us what this whole, especially in like the religious communities, what is this whole shidduch? Tell us a little bit about it.
So, what's a shadchan? A shadchan is a person who is used as a messenger in the process between two people in the setup. People have this idea in their mind that it's like taboo, oh, I don't need it, what's the point? But essentially, it's for your benefit. Let's say, for example, you aren't interested in the girl. It's hard for you as a man to reject her or dump her. You have the shadchan to break it down to her.
It's like a buffer.
It's a buffer. Or if she acts like the shliach in the process. Or let's say you have a question as a woman, you don't feel comfortable with a certain aspect with the guy. You ask the shadchan, what does she think about the approach? Or he, doesn't make a difference. So essentially it benefits the singles, both genders, not specifically the man or the woman. It benefits the entire unit and the whole process. They can help you with dating, they can give you advice from an unbiased perspective. And it's actually beneficial to have one. I really encourage every single person out there to have a shadchan, a mediator, someone to get involved. Why also? We always have these ideas in our mind, oh, he may not like me at the date. You might self-sabotage. You
That
have
inner
somebody-
chatter that we have in
Right.
mind. Yeah.
Oh, he may not like my notes. Yeah. Or he'll say, oh, she's not going to accept me. I have a fancy car. Whatever it might be.
Becoming
You have
those
a-
insecurities.
Right. You're projecting your insecurities. You have a shadchan to coach you, to guide you, to help navigate the whole process, to encourage you, to motivate you, to build your self-esteem. And it kind of, it
You
works.
said something very interesting. I'm just going to grab your phone.
Sure.
You said something about he doesn't have a fancy car. But
Yeah.
how does the shadchan, let's say I'm a girl looking to get married, but I want the guy to have a fancy car. Does the shadchan really play a role in changing my mind?
I personally, I don't speak for every shadchan out there. I personally don't like superficial nonsense.
Right.
I speak about it all the time. I write about it all the time in the articles. I don't like when singles look at the superficial gashmias of a person and say, I want this. For example, someone can send me, oh, Chava, you're a shadchan, can you set me up with someone? Sure, what are you looking for? They send me an Instagram link. Or the girl can say he has to look like this. For me,
a picture.
a picture of what they're looking for, but it's not what you're looking for. At the end of the day, when you have a really bad day at work, you come home through your door, you want to greet your spouse. How do you want your spouse to receive you? Not with their car, not with her blonde hair or his blue eyes. It doesn't work like this. Looks should be the last thing on the list. Not to disqualify saying that physical attraction should not be part
The
of the
reason
thing.
I asked is like you mentioned that a shadchan is very good as a mediator,
Right.
especially for people that feel very insecure. Let's
Right.
say they don't have a fancy car or a fancy job, which is basically what what I've been trying to understand lately. Because I'm not a shadchan, and I think Esther could say the same thing.
Yeah, no, we're not shadchanim, please.
Because we're on social
Just
media.
letting you know.
A lot of people reach out to
Right.
us. They
Sure.
want us to set them up with somebody. So a lot of the challenges that I've been seeing is people are already older, like 37, 38, in their young 40s. They've never been married,
Right,
and they don't have a very prestigious career.
right,
So
which is fine.
right. So to me, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, even if they were to reach out to a shadchan, right, to
Right.
help set them up,
Right,
the mentality of the generation that we're in right now, a lot of singles don't want to give people like that a chance.
right.
Does the shadchan make a difference in that?
In what?
In trying to change the mindset of the young
Of
individuals?
course. So there's a lot of secular influence amongst the Jewish community, and I hate to say it, but unfortunately, it's influencing the majority of the singles, and they try to compete. She has this, I want something similar. He has that, I want similar. But it's not the right approach. We're not here to compete with each other. We're here on our own individual journey, trying to find our bashert.
Right.
And that's it. And the way that I coach my singles is pen and paper. Write down your hashkafa. Where are you holding today? What are you looking for in a partner? Do you want somebody who covers her hair? Somebody who wears a kippah? Do you want somebody who gavas a minion? Or if you don't keep Shabbos, which is fine, it's okay. You want somebody else to keep Shabbos. You want to eat kosher in and dairy out. Whatever it is, write your hashkafa list down. And then when you're looking for a partner, your shadchan can help guide you. Okay, so this is what you're looking for. Let's find somebody who's compatible to you based on what your wants and needs are.
Can I give you a compliment?
Sure.
Somebody said you look so young to be a shadchan.
My daughter's in college, so I think
Her daughter is in college. I don't know if the speaker can hear us, but we have to speak up a little bit. But her daughter is in college.
Thank you.
It's okay. So actually a question that, first of all, hearing you talking about this, it's so interesting to see and hear your experience with so many different types of situations. One situation, for example, you were talking about religion. What happens in a situation where you have, let's say, a guy who wants to get married to a girl, or vice versa, and the girl says, he's a great guy, but and he's religious, but his family is not as religious as I would want, or maybe they're not even religious at all. What are your thoughts about that?
I've encountered such situations, and my opinion is like this: it's your life, it's your happiness. As long as there's obviously the family is very much of a part of the couple's future. There's new children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews. Obviously, it's important, the influence of the outside immediate family.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, if there's compatibility, if your hashkafa aligns with his or hers, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to establish healthy boundaries with family members. Let's say, for example, your future mother doesn't keep kosher, for example, and you keep kosher in the house. If she watches your baby, set up a boundary. Say, look, I know you don't keep kosher in your house. I would appreciate you don't wash the children's bottles in your sink.
Mm-hmm.
Establish that boundary, and you're respecting her, and she's respecting your hashkafa. And you can make it so that if the communication is there and respect is there, there shouldn't be an issue.
It's interesting because a lot of times on our podcast, I think every single podcast we had, we always talked about boundaries. And a lot of times people have a difficulty understanding what really boundaries is, because they feel like if I have a boundary, I have to be either cut off the person, or I have to be disrespectful to the person, or push them away. And that's not what it is. It's about having respect. Definitely having respect, and in a very polite, kind way, to be able to say, this is the way of our life, and we don't feel comfortable if you do A, B, and C. But then you have situations, maybe you can say something to the parents now who are watching, who can get offended. What do you mean you don't want me to wash the bottles in my sink? So what are your thoughts about that?
You have to communicate. It has nothing to do with them or the kitchen. You respect their way of life. As long as you don't tell them, Mom, Dad, I hate the way you're living, or I'll never bring my kids here. Obviously, that's not kibbut of the aim. That's not essentially what we're taught there Torah.
But more than a bottle, what if the parent don't want you to get married to a specific individual?
Then that is, my opinion, not necessary. And I think if you are in love with someone, and it happens a lot of times in Sephardi communities. I don't want to pinpoint which community, which I have a difficulty. Oh, someone's better. Difficulty with dealing, but there are certain Sephardi communities where when the parents get involved, there's a lot of tears, and the couple breaks up, and it hurts. Me as a shadchan, I speak to our Rav constantly, and I'm not allowed to break up a shidduch ever unless there's physical abuse, infidelity, and the like. I am not allowed to say, you know what, I don't think it's the right match for you, break it off. I'm not, who am I to judge? If things are going smoothly and well, Baruch Hashem, I hope you guys get to the chuppah.
Why do people ask you to break up?
So parents, some of his parents get involved and say, I don't like how, where she comes from, or I don't like what he does for a living. I want him to be a little more professional. And they get involved, and ultimately they get them, like, sabotage the relationship. And it only causes tears. You want to see your kids happy. As long as no physical harm done.
Do you do coaching on the parents a lot?
I do a lot. And Baruch Hashem, with our guidance, with the therapist on board, and the kids end up at the
At what point do you tell parents, like, back off, take a step?
As long as there's no physical harm. If the couple together as individuals have mutual respect, love, admiration for each other, they have similar goals, they want the same thing for each other. There's nothing wrong.
Is age contributing to this?
What do you mean?
Well, I can understand that mindset. I mean, personally, if the couples are already 30s, they're already old enough. But say you have a teenager, 18-year-old, wants to get married to a 32-year-old. She fell in love, nothing wrong. But at 18, the parents still feel like they have a say because the child is still very young. At what point do we feel like parents should get involved?
Right, because they have
If a child, I mean, I call my kids children too.
A young adult.
Young adults, if they exhibit, in my opinion, and again, you're the therapist, I mean, you can, go back and forth, but in my opinion, if the young adult is independent, and he makes fully conscious, healthy decisions for him or herself, they make really great decisions for themselves. Academic, in their lifestyle, they don't exhibit any type of like negative behavior, negative self-talk, negative harm to themselves. I don't see why the parents should get involved. As long as you can sort of guide them to the derech you want them to go to at that age. You want to be able to shelter your kids in a bubble, and that's okay. But at some point, you have to let the child be independent, make their decisions. If you find the child making, God forbid, self-harm or self-negative talk or constantly going into the wrong circles or crowds of people, then obviously it's steering in the right direction.
And like, for example, finances. Sometimes you have cases where, the girl can say, he doesn't really have money, or, the girl's father will say, he doesn't really have money, he doesn't really, he doesn't really do much, so how are you gonna marry him?
Parnas is from Hashem.
Wow.
Parnas is from Hashem.
What about the baggage? Let's say he comes from a different relationship, he had 2 kids, or he comes from a previous marriage and she's never been married.
So I can use that for myself. My new husband, Baruch Hashem Hillel, is never married, no kids. And he's a few years under. So she, and ask the question again?
Yeah, so I was asking, what do you do when there's like baggage, so to speak, where let's say one partner comes from an ex with children, and the other partner doesn't. So like, for example, a family of the side that didn't have kids or an ex could say, but you deserve somebody who has less baggage like you, because that's going to complicate your life, so to speak. What do you say to that?
So my thing is like this. So I used to be divorced with 3 kids, and I'm newly married, Baruch Hashem, to an amazing, incredible human being that Hashem blessed me with, who happens to be never married, no kids.
Amazing.
So obviously, if he was given, like, if his resume came to me like, oh, he's never married, no kids, but I gave him a shot because we both gave each other a shot, because you don't know who's destined for you. Only Hashem knows. So anyone who says, oh, she comes with baggage or he has baggage, our emunah is being swayed back and forth. The derech of emunah and bitachon in Hashem is that Hashem is the ultimate matchmaker. We don't know who's destined for who. We don't know that. We're not psychics, right? So let's say if there's compatibility and hashkafa is aligned, go for it. You don't know who's destined for you. And there is an Indian, Kabbalistically, and a lot of Mefarshim, I don't know how to say Mefarshim in English. Rabbinical sources that come down and say there is a concept of pushing one soulmate away. And we can delve deeper into that as a different podcast, but always give someone a chance. If there's compatibility.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How can we each, like you're doing an amazing job, what advice can you give each of us about doing our part in helping this shidduch crisis that's happening? Or, like, do you believe there's a shidduch crisis?
Right. I was just going to.
Let's start with that,
do
without
you
that
believe
assumption.
that there is a shidduch crisis?
Is there a problem?
Is there a shidduch crisis? I don't like using the word crisis.
Okay.
Sounds like it's dangerous.
It sounds like, yeah, it's like something that's bad is about to happen, it's a crisis, pandemic, hospital. No. I just feel like for so long, the chevra, the singles in the Jewish community, have been heavily influenced by secular society and secular gashmias, and most of the singles are not doing their shidduch with pen and paper. Write what you're looking for. Not, what kind of outfit is she wearing, what kind of belt does he have? No, what does she look like? It doesn't matter. Again, physical attraction needs to be there. But I think the crisis, quote unquote, is happening because there's so much negative influence from outside sources that has cluttered the mindset of our young singles.
I don't want to.
Go ahead.
I don't want to be biased
Right.
and take, say, men or ladies, but from what I've been hearing from the young females, when I ask them what's the issue, I'm being told, I don't know, again, I don't do this, that the men of our new generation, sorry, Avi,
No offense taken.
they are not the way they were many years ago. What do I mean by that?
Yeah.
Back then, and we're not talking about sneeze here, modesty issues in general.
I think also we should use more English words
Yeah.
because a lot
Oh,
of
yes,
people
I'm
don't.
sorry.
Back then, it was like a guy goes out with a girl on a date, he likes her, he calls her back, he's actually kind of pushy in a way where the girl knows he's interested in him.
Right.
Nowadays, and this is not from one source, from the few girls that I spoke to, guys don't approach a girl to, the ones who are looking to
Initiate.
get married. They're not initiating it. They're very holding back.
Reserved.
They're not calling back on second dates. It's almost like there's a fear of commitment, fear of trying to move forward. I'm not understanding because if this was one source, okay, but few sources are telling me that guys have changed. What's going on?
Because we have a swiping mentality.
Oh wow!
What
Wow,
does
that
that
is so interesting.
We've learned and we're
It's
so
like
accustomed to swipe.
Tinder.
We swipe.
What's next?
There's got to be somebody else who's better out there. The
So
grass is not greener on the other side. It's not. It's only green where you plant it. I think and water it. Obviously.
So you feel like they're just moving on to the next
No,
one?
I mean,
Because
I
there'll
don't
be somebody
want to
better.
generalize Hashem. I don't want to generalize the men in amongst our community, but it works both ways.
Uh-huh.
But mostly with the male gender, I think.
Look at all the shade.
The only reason
Look at
I feel
all-
is because
look at
ladies are not going to go and recall the guy. It's like not an
No,
acceptable.
no, I
So what's
get it.
happening is what I call benching. Benching, not the Jewish word benching where you praise after you eat. Benching as when you go to the basketball team,
Right,
it's a
you're
bench.
sitting on the bench.
So let's say, usually the men have multiple dates a week, and that's reality.
Really?
Yes,
With
it's
different
reality
girls?
with different girls.
It's an expensive
So what
lifestyle.
happens? Yeah. So what happens is like this. So he goes out with someone and says, okay, but maybe tomorrow's date with somebody else will be better.
Wow.
So the first girl, it happens. I hate to say
you're telling us
it.
a story.
So Sunday he's like, okay, so she was good, whatever. But let's see what Tuesday did. So the girl from Sunday doesn't get a text from.
Right.
You got to
So
go out
Thursday,
Tuesday
Friday.
first.
Can I share
I
something?
hate to say
personal?
that, but it happens a lot, and we're swiping. So let's focus. You're set up with someone.
Somebody just said, "Love it, Chabashul of dropping knowledge."
Yeah, tell us
Here
more.
she
I
is.
I don't sugarcoat. I hate to when we first started, before we went live, I'm like, if I have it, I don't sugarcoat. Is that okay? She goes, go for it. I know.
like, I'm not
I know.
So
So he
can
like
I-
this. What does tachlis mean? Like, how do you say
Purpose.
purpose?
Bottom line is
Bottom
like,
line, when you get
The
set up
basics.
with someone, even if you swipe right on someone in an app, it doesn't make a difference how Hashem sends your soulmate. It's irrelevant. Okay, whichever vessel is being utilized.
Right.
Focus on one person at a time.
Michal Seltzer just said, "I love how you blame the guys. Please tell her what is going on."
I'm not blaming. We're not blaming.
But
We're
I
just trying to
actually,
redirect the
I
focus.
do want to say from a personal experience, when I met my wife and we dated and everything went really well, thank God. There was a point in time, like right before I proposed to her, I had to have like a talk with myself to be able to say what's going on here. Because the dating life can be very stressful, but it can also be kind of fun.
Right.
You meet somebody new every time you're going out. You're constantly going out.
Exposure to new things.
Exactly. So you're constantly meeting new people. but when I met her and I knew I kind of had to lock it in, it was a little bit scary because I'm like, wait, that's it. That means my road ended here, meaning I have to commit.
Yeah.
So and I had a conversation with myself and I said, if I'm not going to commit to her right now, I'm going to get myself into very dangerous water where I'm just going to be saying no to girls because I don't want to.
Maybe there's somebody better.
Exactly, because of this negative cycle that you get into. Maybe Wednesday's girl is going to be better than Sunday's girl, and you go on and on and on and on. And like what you said, you were very focused on not being materialistic, looking at more character. Is that correct?
Of course, 100%.
Yeah.
And again, like the clients, the singles that I've coached. So I tell all the singles on the group, personally, also make yourself a list. Write everything down. Your hashkafa, your core values, right? Everything has to be aligned.
So you shouldn't stray from it.
Right. So when you get a suggestion, you're not clouded with like this desperation of being in a relationship. Oh my God, my friend just got married. I have to be married by. No.
I actually wanted to ask you a side question.
Sure.
What are your thoughts about the statement "soon by you"?
Oh, I hate it with passion.
Tell us why.
It gives me like, I want to like that.
Soon by you.
Like when you go to weddings, when you go to parties, when you go see each other in the grocery store, right? And then they always see the single person, or soon by you, next one you're gonna be married, soon by you, and also another thing that I just want to hear all of your thoughts. Sometimes people will send a message like, oh, I'm davening for you, or we'll see each other in the store or in shul. Hey, I'm davening for you, I'm praying for you. It's really nice, it's a sweet thing, but at the same time, to a person who's looking for shidduchim for a long time, sometimes they just want to have a conversation. If you're davening for them, if you're praying for them, so continue to pray for them.
About
but no need, right? And every time you kind of get together with a family group or a family like Shabbos table or a meeting, to always pick up the glass and say, next year you're going to be married. By this year you're going to be married. That can really hurt. And Chava, maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
So, I just like that phrase. I don't use the word hate often. I just like that phrase. Soon by you, to showcase a spotlight on a single who's been single for the longest time is painful. A lot of singles, I can speak for myself also, we go to bed crying, why am I still single? Yeah. We go into this mode. There's plenty of singles who get married in their late 40s, late 50s. You can imagine 20, 30 years of being alone. Yeah. You walk through the door, there's no one to greet you, there's no kids. It's very painful. So my suggestion, my advice, don't say this to your friends. Daven for them privately when you're lighting your Shabbos candles. Say a bracha, Hashem, please send them zivuk. Take something like a mitzvah upon yourself, dedicated in their marriage. Find this. No one needs to know what you're doing behind closed doors.
Yeah. What about? I know people who are divorced.
Yeah.
And they had a very, very rough first marriage.
Right.
And they're so afraid of starting again because of their trauma from the previous marriage. What can you say to those singles?
Call Abby for therapy.
So, tell us a little bit about therapy and dating. Like, what are your thoughts?
They go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. It's like eating cereal with no milk. You can't date without guidance.
I don't think it's the therapy that they need. They just need to understand that not all men are the same.
So, or women.
I'm talking about females here, particularly.
So I think
therapy is whether you agree or not. Post-divorce therapy is crucial.
Yes.
It's like having a backbone on your body. Yeah. You need, whether a person had an amicable divorce, maybe there was no hard feelings, maybe just they could not like see each other like in a romantic way, they just had to separate, and they're great with each other. They're like friendly, the kids are like living in both houses, or there could be infidelity in the mix, or physical abuse, God forbid, chas v'shalom, we should never know about this or even discuss this, but divorce, regardless of the outcome, everyone needs a therapist.
So I was just going to say, the person I know already went for therapy. That didn't help.
Didn't help.
So my point, that was what I was trying to say. It's not a very amazing therapist. But what I'm trying to say is,
I was just going to say that.
A therapist
sometimes
not always a therapist.
Right. First, no. So not always. Do you have a click? Sometimes, and I say this all the time to my clients. I say, in order for, just because I have certain tools and skills does not mean I'm going to be the best therapist for you.
Exactly.
You have to really click with your therapist. Just like a husband and wife need to click, same thing with a therapist. And maybe that therapist, maybe he just had a bad experience with that therapist, But generally, therapy, I mean, in my,
It's
the
so
way I
beautiful.
see it,
I love it.
is it really kind of opens up your blind spots, because we all, no matter who you are, even therapists need therapists. The best therapists will have a therapist, a mentor, somebody that they can talk about their biases, someone they can talk about their blind spots that they don't see. You know, a therapist can definitely empower a person to really live a life, you know, a full healthy life. We do have some questions for you. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
For Chava, you
Just
ready?
for
Well, no, it's for everybody. But okay, do you need to know a little about the person you're setting up, or you set up based off who's available?
No. Just put, I don't see man, woman, okay, it's a shidduch. It doesn't work like this. You have to know the personality of the person.
So you speak with them before you connect them.
Usually I dedicate 2-3 times a week, and I speak to singles for hours in the evening time. Thank you, Hashem, for the extra hours I have. But I can look at a resume and say, okay, fine. So let's see if this is a match, and I coordinate a FaceTime, I coordinate a call. But
So
it works both ways.
to piggyback off of that, let's talk about a big topic: shidduch resumes. What are your thoughts about it?
Let's just ask Yochai, what are your thoughts about it?
So look, everyone's like, oh,
And what,
it's not for me,
let's
your
start.
resume.
What is a shidduch resume?
It's the same thing you put on a dating app. It's the same thing.
Well, let's say they don't go on dating
She's
apps.
like defending, but it's who you are. Like, I'm not asking
If
for you
someone
to
asked me to describe myself
Yeah,
on
who are
a piece
you?
of paper, I would never be able to do
your
it.
chaved, your age, your nationality,
Okay.
your hashkafa, your marital status. That's
That's
it. And your occupation. And
There's-
your hashkafa level, like your Shema Shabbat, you cover your. I don't need to know like your favorite color or like what kind of like roller coaster like the ride Six Flags. I don't need to know that information. Like that's great if you could put down like I love
so it's not
Harry
necessary.
Potter. It's not necessary.
Oh, so it's not necessary.
But
So
you
it could
can
be very
people-
basic.
It could be 4 or 5 sentences.
Do you think people like choose to go against whatever the resume says? Say, oh, I'm not going to date this, because they might not go for the guy based off of what it says on paper,
Right.
but they might have if they met him casually.
So fine. So right. So there's been instances. Oh, I don't like what's on the resume, but you don't know the person.
Can I say why I'm like so not understanding the resume
Sure.
concept? First, because obviously times have changed.
Right.
I'm proud, you know, from the we didn't do this.
She's old.
She's very young.
And
love
second
her.
time, like,
Younger
if
than
you
me.
were to put a resume between me and my sibling, we both have the same school that we went to. We have the same siblings, same upbringing, same everything. So we would have very similar resumes.
Okay.
No, but she said
How would
the
you
piece
differentiate
there
it?
is your hashkafa, like your whatever your
values,
it is,
the
your
core
values, the
values.
core values, the things that you are looking
Morals.
for, what kind of life you want to build. So let's say
Can you
your
give a
sibling.
description of that? Like, give us a sentence.
Let's
of
say,
that.
for example, like obviously put down your important information, like your age, your height, your occupation, like your
Right.
Does
nationality.
the guy
Are
write
you
how
a
much
color?
he makes?
No, I don't want information on Parnas. It's not for me. Parnas is for Hashem.
Okay.
One day someone can have, next day Hashem takes it away. We don't control Parnasa or Zivugin.
It's interesting. As you're
Yeah.
speaking, I feel like this is so a part of
It
you.
is.
This is like
Because-
you.
Strong will.
Because again, we're trying to break this mold of this secular cloud that has overshadowing our Derech Torah.
Okay, can you give me? I'm still. Well, give me
Okay,
the.
so let's say like my resume. I had a resume,
Okay.
right? So let's say I had Chava, my age, divorced, my hashkafa. I still cover my hair. I'm looking for someone from Shabbos, someone who davens with a minyan. And by the way, left
You actually wrote that.
yes, I did.
That
It was actually on my
that
group for
was
a
very
year.
important for you.
Yes,
To say he davens with the
Yes,
man.
I can show you a screenshot
That's
of
so
my
interesting.
resume that Neil, my partner Ben Dayan, posted on my group, and that's how.
Oh, you wrote what you wanted in the guy.
Yeah, my
What did
stuff.
you
I
write,
wanna-
by the way? What was the last piece that you said?
I love to cook, so I hope you can cook with me and be a foodie.
Would
So that was my
it,
thing.
be, would it be wrong for somebody to write? It's going to sound like the person is very materialistic, but you know, realistically, I want a guy who can travel with me.
That's great.
But then it's going to
That's a lifestyle choice.
That's a lifestyle
Expensive lifestyle.
right. That's what I'm saying. It may sound very expensive, like. And would that turn you away from now making this person match with somebody who doesn't have such an expensive job because you know what they do? Do you know what everybody does?
Well, people can camp for $100. It doesn't have to be a $10,000 Caribbean trip.
She's gonna try to match
Right?
it.
You don't
This
have
is
to
why
be-
she's successful.
But you don't.
She's creative
So
like that.
you can't match up a girl who's adventurous, who's like I don't know, she likes to travel the world, and every winter break she's somewhere in Alaska. Who the heck knows? With a guy who avid book reader. It just won't mesh.
Poor guy. He might be such a pretty
So
He might be a great guy, but the person, so imagine they're married and she's traveling the world and he's with the kids at home. Michelle Obama is there, they'll be calling the outreach for like hours for that session.
So, and how about pictures? What are your thoughts about pictures?
I hate pictures with a passion, but it's needed. I hate picture passion. My favorite, no offense to anybody out there, I deal with, again, if those that know me, I deal with traditional, secular, reform, conservative, from Machmir Yeshivish. My favorite group of singles, and this everyone knows this, is my Yeshivish boys. My Yeshivish boys, Chava and Pachlis, I don't want a picture.
Wow.
Send me the girls' resume. And they go on physical dates with girls they've never seen a picture of. There's no social media, there's no Instagram links, there's nothing. They're going in with it, knowing that the girl is, or the boy is matched up based on their shkafa, the core value system, and everything is aligned.
I love that, I love the concept of it.
But it'll never work out for the
But-
player club. I get it.
Yeah, that was the point. Ami, what do you think about that?
About what?
About
No
that
pictures.
particular,
I'll tell you, from personal experiences, it would be a little bit difficult for me not to see a picture. I did actually. Fun fact: I think my wife knows this. When I came to her house, I asked the shopman. I said, "Please send me a picture," and she didn't have a picture. She didn't have a picture, and I'm like,
She's wearing a purple top with people
please, help me, don't do this to me. And I came up to the building, and I looked, and right next to the door there was a picture frame there, and I'm like, is this the girl? I was not sure. She was much younger, and she looked very, she was a kid. It's like a awkward teenage age, and I'm like, is this the girl? And I was like, the door opened.
You were waiting for her to come out.
And I was waiting for that girl from the picture, that teenager, the awkward teenage phase to come out. And all of a sudden the door opened, and I saw her, and I'm like,
after the awkward years.
it was. I mean, again, for me personally, I don't want to portray like this perfect image. I mean, for me, this was my story. Again, obviously, I dated multiple people in the past, and then when I met her, soulmates are soulmates. So I met her, and we got married. But when I saw her, it just clicked. It happened for me. But when I saw that picture, luckily, I mean, I didn't get.
So you didn't like that?
I didn't get.
He's happily married.
You didn't think it was a nice picture?
Well, she was a teenager. She was like a little teenager.
Well, you didn't
So-
not feeling it.
She was a teenager. I didn't get a picture, but if I would have to do it right now, if I would have to do it all over again, I probably would have to ask for a picture. I don't know.
Esther,
It's just-
I want to ask your opinion too.
Why? With what exactly? Specifically.
Would you be okay with not seeing a picture?
I have
first?
been okay.
Okay,
Oh, very
perfect.
good.
Yeah.
I'll come up to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a free lunch any day.
Oh no! Who pays for the dance?
I'm so curious to know. No, I'm really curious to know if it's a difference in gender where a man would want the picture. And what do you think? Like,
Are the women more vain or the men more vain?
I'm saying, do you think men are more?
I think it's equal.
Really?
Yeah, it's equal.
Wow. Interesting.
It's equal.
Interesting. So I would say old school before when I got married a bunch of years ago.
I trusted the people who set me up. When they said he's not bad looking, I was so naive. I really, really trusted them. They wouldn't set me up with like somebody.
So again, not everyone is like Chava, because there have been many cases where somebody's already married with a kid, and the shopkeeper will give them the number, and she's like, "I'm married. I have a kid already. Like, what's going on here?" Or they'll keep setting up the same. It can get messy. So sometimes girls and even guys, they're very scared to go to a shadchan because they don't do all of this that you're doing with notes and you have a whole team with therapists and different people and have charts and lists and all that. I think that's really, really incredible, especially right now, to be able to do this for people.
And it's all with Hashem's help. I'm telling you honestly. It really is with Hashem's help.
Another question.
Yes.
Is it important, or let me rephrase, is there such a thing as getting married too young?
I don't think so.
Really?
No, not at all. If you're emotionally
The number one.
weird.
I do have to tell Alina, thank you. She said, leave Avi alone. Be nicer to me, ladies. I appreciate that.
Isn't the number one risk for divorce age?
Not at all, it's finances.
Statistically.
Statistically, it's finances. 68% of divorces are with finances.
Three of the main
Yes, I heard
money,
that.
money,
Money,
communication, and
Addiction is infidelity
it's
also.
Right.
It's like intercourse, sexual relations.
How young is the youngest person on your database for getting
Oh wow. Well, Danielle and Johnny's shidduch, shidduch from our group, thank you. The youngest I met at the table was 18, and that was the youngest. Like, we're sitting there with my partner Ella, and we're sitting there, and he's like, "Are you a shadchan?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You look like you're 15." He's like, "I'm 18." I'm like, "Whoa."
The guy is 18.
I'm like, "Give me your resume." 18, but it's hard to match up at such a young age because, like, for him, I can't match someone who's like 16, 17. Like, doesn't exist.
Right.
Well, that's interesting.
Sometimes I'll tell you, I think
it's too young.
I think
18 is too young for a guy or for anybody?
I think 18 is too young for both genders.
What do you think? What did you think?
Why? Someone's
Why
in
would
their
you
early
think
20s.
I'm going to disagree with that one.
At 18.
Everybody is different also. Everyone is different. Everyone is different.
At 18, I don't think anyone's able to make a conscious judgment call for their life.
Is it because of the generation that we're in or in general?
In general.
So if your child came up to you at 18 and said, "Mommy, I found the one. I really love him."
I would sit down with her, because my oldest is the girl, and I would sit down with her and ask her. But also, as a parent, you're able to see what the maturity level of your child is.
Yeah.
If your child is just in a rush to get married because of what's going on in the community, her classmates are getting married, or his classmates are
the
getting married,
dynamic in the house wants to run out of the house.
or whatever, but you sit down as a parent and see the maturity level, and see is your child able to make mature, concrete, committed decisions. Like, it's not a joke. Like, obviously there's sexual relations, there's pregnancies, there's kids. Can your child withstand the obstacles and challenges of being a parent? Like, it's a big deal. And a lot of times it's like, "Oh, I just want him out of the house before."
I love that you said it depends on the child. I love that.
Maturity level is very important. And as a parent, you have to know whether a child's
Yocheved was born a mature adult.
We have another follow-up question. You ready?
Yes, right.
When is the shadchan when is the matchmaker no longer in the picture?
Ooh, good
and
question.
It's allowed for the guy and girl to communicate on their own.
Once the girl is comfortable with the guy.
What does that mean?
Meaning,
she doesn't feel like
she doesn't feel uncomfortable, because obviously the first date is awkward for both of them. And obviously I'm there to help both navigate the process of dating, but I try to sort of like protect the women and say, "Are you comfortable? Can I let go?" If she's comfortable enough to give him her home address, or let's say her phone number, or she's okay to go out with him at night, not a public area, she's comfortable, like she has confidence and trust in him, then I say, "Okay, if you're comfortable, I'm letting go."
That's so sweet.
So actually, I wanted to address something you mentioned. The first date, it can be awkward. And I talk a lot about this with my clients when they come in and say, "I don't want it to be awkward. I don't want it to be weird." I'm like, sit with that for a little bit. The more you try to run away from it not being awkward, that's the panic that's going to kick in and mess up the date. I mean, what are your thoughts about awkwardness in the first date?
Why is there awkwardness? Because you have expectations.
There you go. I love that.
When you go into a date, don't expect, "Oh my God, don't come in your wedding dress, don't come in your tuxedo."
Imagine.
Don't. Go into the date as you're meeting somebody new. That's it. You're going to meet, forget about the word date, you're going to meet somebody, potentially a match for you. When you go into the date, you're putting on your makeup, you're like, "Oh my God, is he my husband? Will I introduce him to my parents?" Oh my God, don't. You go into the date, you see your expectations, you're going to meet someone. If it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, also great, because you're not putting those limitations on yourself.
So what is, I think you had a question?
I had a question. It's a little unrelated. What do you say to somebody who has like that burnout? They're just exhausted.
Take a step back and stop dating for a few months if needed.
Really?
As much time, as long as you need, retreat. Hire a therapist, a dating coach, find out what's making you burnt out. And a lot of times the burnt out comes from what? Saying yes to everybody, going out with the wrong people, not having your to-do list, your hashkafa list. Like, when you say yes to everybody, you're going to go on a bunch of different dates, attracting the same men, attracting the same women. You're like, "Why am I not finding my pashered? Why is it taking so long?" Because if you're not putting pen and paper, if you're not writing things down, and let's say a shadchan, or you meet somebody, if they don't align with your values, your core values, your lifestyle, and you go on a date with them, it didn't work out.
So a lot of
it's exhausting.
So the singles that are going out, a lot of it is coming from pressure from the parents saying you're too picky.
Right.
Why aren't
That's a
you
big
going
one.
out? So this is one reason why, bless you, why they're going out, like you said, with everybody. So what are your thoughts about when they're being called you're too picky?
So what are you too picky about?
They say like, and sometimes they're really not picky. It just, they say, I want a normal person. I don't want a
I
person
have boundaries for
right.
what I won't say yes to.
Right.
Picky is a very large term. I actually posted a question in the group today. Are you too picky? But picky is different.
Everybody has their own standards.
Yeah, but what?
Like I won't date a girl who's this height and below.
Well, that's superficial.
Is
That's
that
superficial.
too picky?
That's superficial.
Question to Chava. Is it a good idea to go out with the same person twice, even if the first time didn't go well?
Of course. Why not? If you're not sure, go out again. If you haven't made a decision, okay, I'm repulsed by him or her, or there's for sure not a match, or I don't like how they're speaking, or I don't like how she's talking. If there's not confusion, but if there's no decision made after the first date, go out again to make sure, like, it's okay, he's not a match, or yes, it is a match. Always go out again. Why
I
not?
want to ask Avi this question, then I'm going to rotate it. So we got the dating phase figured out. So now let's move on.
Or did we? I think we just touched the tip of the iceberg.
Just a little bit.
What is it going
We have way more questions for Chava.
No, wait, I was going to my next
Okay, go
one.
ahead.
That's time.
What happens? They get married. Why are divorce rates so high?
Ooh.
So again, I think we can
And then we're all going to piggyback
in
off what you're going
combination.
to say.
But I think also people, when they get married, they have this idea that marriage is an Instagram highlight reel. I think when people, first of all, go to therapy, talk about their stuff that they're holding on from childhood, and this is why therapy is super, super, super important. Again, I'm not, what is it called, a shameless plug? I'm not plugging my therapy practice, but I'm just saying how super important therapy is. A lot of times people have a misconception of what therapy is. You don't need to be a psychopath to go to therapy. You don't have to have something clinically wrong with you to go to therapy.
Can I cut you off on that?
Go ahead.
My grandparents didn't go for therapy.
Okay.
But they didn't get divorced.
So the mentality again, but what was their quality of life? And I hear this a lot. My parents spanked me, and look at me. I'm all good. Are you really good? But you have anxiety, you have anger issues, you have self-control issues, you have a short fuse. You have so many issues that you don't see are problems. Do you hear the So that is an issue. A person doesn't have to wake up with this so much inner pain every single day. When you go to a therapist, you can work out all these traumas or challenges. I don't want to call it traumas. I don't want to just throw out labels like that. But every single person who's walking the earth went through something in their life. Whether it's being bullied in school, whether it's not being the first one to be picked on the team. So many things might have happened to you where now you become this adult, and if you haven't resolved those issues, it plays out in your relationship with your spouse. So first, that's number one. Number two is the Instagram reel, where like Chava, I agree with you with what you said, how everybody now, everything is so, like on Instagram, where everything is so perfect. It's 10 seconds of their day. You have no idea what's going on in the background, So that's very important to consider, that everybody has something. The grass, like you said, the grass is greener where you water it. That's my 2 cents.
Esther, why? What do you think is the purpose of getting married?
Ooh, no pressure. Well, I mean, from the Jewish perspective, the purpose is to, I think, follow the laws of Hashem, which means Peru Revu. You should continue to multiply the earth, right? Mm-hmm. And also, there's a whole concept where you are not blessed until you are, starting your life with your partner and living all the ways that Hashem created you to be. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of women don't feel like, I could say for myself, like the dream to become married and have a kid is like, to have children was something that I was looking forward to, and you can agree with that, right? Like something you're excited to look forward to and have children, all that's part of your, I think the inner core of your essence. I think it's also to live your life and enjoy with your partner and have somebody to share your bed. I don't think humans are designed to be alone. I think humans are designed to be partnered up with people, a partner, because that's essentially what makes them happier. You know, if you look at people, they'll say like, I'm happier when I'm with somebody. But you also have to learn how to be happy without somebody first,
100%.
right? So there's that whole concept. I really think this is what marriage is not. Marriage is not a place where you go to run away from your problems, because you're just going to bring your problems into the marriage. If you're not happy in your family where you are, and you think, oh, if I was married to that guy, or if I wasn't married to this guy, and I was, you know, in a different relationship, I'd be happier because he would understand me. Truth is, you would carry the same crap that you're bringing into this marriage into that one. Or like if your parents don't understand you and you feel frustrated and you want to get out, you want to run away. It's not good to run away. You have to, I think, what do you think?
I see that a lot. I see that so
That's
much.
dangerous.
I see that
That's
so
so
much
dangerous.
when working with young adults. And it's
They
becoming,
want to have their own identity.
Exactly. They want to have
They
their own
start their own
identity,
life.
their own corner. The parents are constantly being involved. Where are you? Why aren't you home yet?
Right.
What are you
And
doing?
want-
And they're like, hello, I'm over 20 years old. Like,
Or
why
whatever it is.
are you texting me all these things? And they want their own corner, so they feel like, you know what, I'm just going to get married. Or the parents say, just get married already.
Right.
And they feel like if I get married, all my problems are going to go away. That is not, that's right. It's not the case.
Yeah, so you have to be careful.
We actually have, also, what are your thoughts about marrying relatives?
Ooh. That's a whole other podcast. I'm sorry.
It's interesting. As soon as I asked that question, you had a facial expression. You clearly have some thoughts about it.
Like, no.
I've seen it, and please don't.
So this is Chava's way of saying we're gonna have a part 2 about this because we
Part
have
3, part 4.
part 3, part 4.
Do you
So
believe in love at first sight?
Yes,
Really?
I do. Yes,
I believe
sure.
I
in
do.
that as well.
Yes, and it happens. It's true.
All right. So next question: is it appropriate for the guy to get a gift like flowers on the first date? Also, when is it appropriate and how many dates in?
Please don't bring flowers.
Really?
Please don't.
Why?
Please don't bring chocolates. It's very awkward.
The
It's
first,
very awkward.
So
It's very awkward.
when is
Like
it
what?
okay?
So when you bring a gift to someone, it's out of what? Out of which part?
Appreciation.
Of love, of affection. It comes from a place of expressing
Endearment.
your endearment. Thank you. That was what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So when you bring flowers the first date, it means nothing. Like if you bring flowers
It
the
doesn't
first
stand
date,
for anything.
so you're just trying
So
to
culturally, in
right.
the
So you
past,
bring her flowers.
Genesis-
You bring her flowers for her to like you.
Yeah, that can also be a deal breaker if you bring nothing in certain cultures.
Not at all. I don't
Means
think so.
So interestingly, actually, I think I'm not going to talk personally, but I'll talk. I personally didn't bring anything on the first date because I didn't want to have that connection
Right, exactly.
where I gave you something. Now subconsciously, you kind of owe me something back.
Oh, interesting.
So
You thought that way.
I didn't think about that. But
Wow.
I think in the firmer world, it's not customary
It's
to
not
bring
appropriate.
anything the first date. But a grandparent can say like, oh, so
Yeah,
what
that's
did
what I
what,
meant.
what did he bring? He didn't bring anything. Like, what do
Right.
you mean?
They're from
Like,
It's
what-
different
okay.
culture.
Don't
So-
set these
Yeah.
standards. There's
Right.
no purpose for these standards.
What about going out? Like, where should he take her? Should he pay?
I always
should they
say
split the
dinner.
bill?
No splitting the bill.
He should pay.
He should pay?
He should pay.
Yeah.
He should
Okay.
pay.
I'm very old
the-
school.
Uh-huh.
Please don't split the bill. If you can't afford it, and again, if you need help, I'm very well connected with restaurants all around the country.
Wow.
If you can't afford a date,
Wow, I've never in my life.
I
heard
promise
this. You're
you,
like
if you
next
can't-
level.
Wow.
if you can't afford a date,
I wish
we
I would have
have
an award.
restaurant
Just to be like,
owners.
here,
Isn't
award.
it? But-
We have restaurant owners who you can call prior to the date. The date will be paid for, and she will not know a thing.
Wow.
Is it
Done
bad that she doesn't
This
know?
is so
Not a
cool.
lie.
Because
Because
she
look-
thinks he can afford it.
Yeah, I mean, no.
But at the same
we're
time,
not sponsoring Reserve Card.
let's just give a disclaimer.
No, we're
This is
not sponsoring Reserve Card La Marais. We're sponsoring, let's say, sushi, or let's say a very cheap, not cheap,
If
but
he
like a
can't afford
dairy
it,
restaurant.
should he be even going out? If he
Yes,
can't
why
afford
not?
it?
Maybe he's
Can it
finishing.
support a
Maybe he's finishing up law school.
Uh-huh.
Maybe he's in school. Maybe he's finishing his last semester.
And maybe he's been to so many dates, he's broke.
Uh-huh.
Some-
I heard that a
It's
lot.
not- it's
also.
not like, let's say-
they're tired already. Like they feel like
Yeah.
I've been on so many dates.
So
like
should
my
he
money
take
is-
her out on a date or just like to drinks?
If you guys follow me, I do not want anyone drinking on dates. I write about this constantly, and I scream about this
No
all the
alcohol.
time.
Like not alcohol.
No alcohol.
I'm saying like going out to like a cafe for tea.
Cafe. Okay, so
like a cheap date.
No.
No.
I can see how he'll be broke if he's dating 3 different girls in the first week.
That's why you should be tactless and focus on one girl. You won't be so broke.
But the second date, you should take her out on some like decent one.
So we have a strategy. So let's say the first date, you have to make an impression. Best foot forward. You're not going to take the girl, let's say, hiking where she's going to be sweating for 3 hours in her heels. Like, you can't do that to her. She'll be sweating. She'll feel like she smells. She'll feel unattractive. You want to make and again, I'm not being sexist, but I'm just being real, and it works. The biology of a woman, Avi, you can
Go ahead.
fix my mentality. I mean,
You're no fixing necessary. You're on the ball.
So,
you are doing it.
a woman wants to go on a date and feel like she's the most important woman in the world. Like your attention is directly focused on her. She wants to feel beautiful, romantic. You need to spark that fire for her. If you take her hiking California up the mountains, you won't get a second date. She won't come back when she goes to the restroom. She'll be like, okay, peace out, where's my Uber? Yes! The guy doesn't, or let's say coffee date. A guy needs to invest. I hate to say it. Ladies, I'm sure you guys, like, I don't know. A guy needs to invest. You have to make the woman feel wanted and appreciated. She puts her, like, she'll buy a new dress, she'll buy new shoes, she'll get her hair done, makeup done. She'll do something to make you feel like the most hottest guy in the restaurant. You're walking with this girl who's put together, and you take her to a Starbucks for $5 coffee. I don't recommend it, and I don't suggest it. I don't.
It's a slap in the face.
It's not a slap in the face.
Wait, you're talking about first date or
First date. First date needs to be a best foot forward. Take her out to dinner. Doesn't have to be reserved cut. Could be a nice, classy restaurant. There's a multitude of restaurants.
I've never been to Reserve Cut. Is this an expensive
But
place?
it's very expensive. So it doesn't have to be posh. Just take her out to a nice, classy restaurant.
Sometimes guys think that if, let's say, the shadchan gave them the number, and they called, let's say, hey, how are you? I would like to take you on a date. Okay, Sunday, sounds good, great. The next morning, a lot of times guys feel pressured. Do I text her, hey, good morning, how are you? What are your thoughts?
I say no.
Don't text the next morning.
No.
When do you text?
Give her a day.
Why?
Give her, a lot of times the girls need time to absorb what happened. They have to see if this is the right match. So the guys are usually the pursuers, the aggressors, the chasers, the hunters. Biology, that's how men are
Designed.
I would be very upset
If
I waited like 24 hours and I'm still waiting, and he's just
So
taking
let's
time
say you
because
go on
he
a
doesn't
date.
want to be like,
Let's say you go on a date 8 o'clock at night.
I'm
You
like,
come
why
home
isn't
at
he
12.
texting me yet?
Classic example. He takes you at 8 o'clock at night. You come home at 12 o'clock at night. He texts you 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I had a great time. You're like, oh my God, he's so clingy. Like, I just saw
Really?
you.
I would love that.
okay, clearly we're not talking about it. You're already married.
It's okay
I'm
to.
joking.
I believe me.
So
you
somebody,
take a date to
I want to hear your
respect.
thoughts about it.
Yeah.
Somebody in the group, Bella and Alina, said that shouldn't be important, makeup and all that. No, I don't agree with that. Like, a girl shouldn't have makeup on and all.
Really?
Interesting.
But the makeup makes you more attractive.
I
know
know
it makes
you
me
put
more
down.
attractive.
I think you should put a cake on your face and like put a pile of makeup on your face. But there needs to be a shtadlut. There needs to be effort. You can't go on a date without brushing your teeth, flossing your teeth, brushing your hair, putting on some makeup. You need to look presentable. And I'm not saying you have to.
I agree 1000%.
Shouldn't the parents have
Don't go
taught
on a
this
date
to
with
the
a
child?
t-shirt and a bun
Sometimes
on your
common
head.
sense is not.
Guys, don't go on a date after work. Please shower, freshen up, put some cologne on, clean your cars. You have to put your best foot forward. I'm not saying go on a date and looking like you just came out of Saks Fifth Avenue. No. 5 minutes, soap and water does not cost and doesn't take too much time. Put yourself together.
So next question.
Great advice,
How do you
Bravo.
deal with parents that are overly involved themselves and maybe cross inappropriate boundaries? I think we
I
talked
wonder
about
what
that
kind of
already.
inappropriate boundaries.
Yeah,
that should
what
be.
kind of boundaries are we talking about?
Probably call the girl up themselves.
Either that, or maybe they'll have the guy come. Oh, and this is another one. Before we get into this, do you suggest that the guy wait in the car and the girl come out, or do you suggest the guy come up to the door?
I think guys should come up to the door.
Yeah, I think that's respectful.
Whatever makes you comfortable.
Whatever makes her comfortable.
I'll tell you why. Let's say she lives in a very firm religious community, and she dates often. She doesn't want her neighbors to see a guy coming every week to pick her up. So tznius reasons, I mean again modesty, I keep using Hebrew words, but modesty reasons, we want to make sure the woman feels comfortable. So some women, you ask, Shafan asks, how do you want to meet him somewhere? Do you want to pick you up? I'll meet him on the corner and I'll come to the car. Or she'll say, he can pick me up. If it's raining, have him bring an umbrella. It's even cuter like that. But like, for modesty reasons, it's best to sit in the car and have her come to you.
But do you have this conversation?
Of course, with my yeshiva,
So don't assume anything.
don't assume anything.
Right, okay.
So, do you ever push people to go out even after a no was given?
It depends if it's a silly no.
Okay,
I do
more.
push. I don't push to the point where like, I don't push. I'm not an aggressive shot. I'm like, you better go out with him or else I will flag you. God forbid. I don't do like that. If you say no, I think his nose is too crooked. Or, you know what? I want somebody who's over 5'6" and she's 5'3". If you tell me no, I'll be like, okay, wake up, smell the coffee, and realign your value system and give the girl a chance or give the guy a chance. If it's a no, meaning like, let's say, this won't happen. Let's say a guy doesn't keep Shabbos and she keeps Shabbos, she goes, Shabbos, keep Shabbos. That's okay, and that's understandably so. It just doesn't mesh.
Right,
But we don't, obviously, we match.
So you just said something about flagging. What does somebody have to do for you to be like, you know what, I'm flagging you, and I'm not working with you?
I love your post, by the way. She tells you exactly what.
So this is the thing. So we try to give. I mean, the admins and the moderators are fantastic and cool about it, but the team does like this. So if you exhibit aggressive, vulgar behavior, if you use foul language on the date, let's say you showed signs of, you know, you were mean to him, or let's say you insulted him on purpose with intent. You embarrassed him on the date with your words, your actions, or like you look ridiculous. So how can you, like, if that happens and we speak to single, like, look, first warning, please have derech eretz, have respect for each other. You guys are on a date, meeting one-on-one. Please have some sort of like, you know.
And this has happened in the past.
It's happened where the.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing to have a shadchan because so many times, let's say, you go out on a date and she says no or he says no, and you come back from it like, I wish I knew why. But the shadchan actually helps you fix those errors because we're like, dude, you need to go home and shower before you go out on a date.
I've had men go on dates not showered, and the girl was repulsed because he smelled. This happened a few months
This is
ago.
real life. What I'm trying to say is, in a way, if he just takes a shower for the sake of a date, but in reality, he's just not a clean person.
So let's say,
Isn't that like
That's a
something?
great
so someone.
I don't want to think you take showers and then you get married and you find
So
out.
what are you saying? You want people to come smell
No,
it?
So again,
You know who you are.
So a lot of times, a person not aware of their behavior actions. They have to come. So the family member's like, oh, he's just being Jonathan. It's not a big deal. He's always wearing, you know, jogging pants at home. But if you come as a shop corner coach, be like, you know what? How about you just groom yourself a little bit better? He's like, oh, I smell. My mom never told me I smell.
Right.
So you always need that perspective, unbiased opinion. Like, look, you haven't brushed your teeth in a while. Can you please go brush your teeth? Like, a mom and dad they always come from a loving way. Oh, he doesn't smell. Oh, she's great.
This is why you can't do therapy on your kids, because you're biased.
You're biased.
Right.
So you have to have someone to be like, you know what? And then moving forward, like, oh my God, I need to put on cologne because I probably smell. And he'll take care of himself, or vice versa. It always works.
What do you think mothers or fathers need to do better for raising their kids into this?
I don't know. I mean,
is like teach them to shower.
So we have so is it true that guys have more options, suggestions in dating than girls? And also, is it true that the matchmaker side more with a guy when he says no to a girl, but when it comes to a girl who says no, she's said to be too picky?
I don't understand.
I lost the question.
So
many
two
things
questions.
in there.
Is it true that guys have more options, suggestions than girls?
No, because we're matching them with women, so obviously it's equal.
No, so I'm
Equal
saying,
trade,
like, for
understand?
example,
He means, like, the same guy with
a
different
guy
girls.
can have a bunch of girls, and it's harder for girls to find.
So statistically, there's more girls than guys on our database.
Mm-hmm.
That's reality things.
So that makes sense. That guys
It
have
makes
more
sense.
options.
More options, yes,
Right.
for sure.
So then the second question is it true that the matchmaker sides more with a guy when he says no to a girl? But when it comes to a girl who says no, she's said to be too picky.
Not at all. Interesting. Not at all. When either gender says no, I'm not interested, we ask why you're not interested. We're not gonna like perform therapy sessions saying, oh my God, we have issues, or we have issues. No. Why are you saying no? And if the guy says no because he doesn't feel like Hashkafa is aligned, or let's say the girl says no because she's not attracted to him, it's a clear no. There's no reason to like. No,
Right. So there's something actually I wanted to discuss. A lot of times people go on dates, and if it doesn't work out, just because the person, it didn't work out for the person, a lot of times who it happened to, they want to know, tell me why, what's wrong with me, what did I do wrong, just tell me.
No one owes you closure.
Ooh.
Bottom line.
Yeah. I think that's
It's hard. It's hard.
It's hard to accept.
No
and I
one
think this
will
is something
know
that we process with in therapy.
Right.
Is that you can be an amazing person just
It has
because it
nothing
didn't
to
click.
do with you.
Exactly right.
Just because
Don't
a
take it
person,
personally.
just because someone says no to you, it has nothing. It's zero reflection on your character, on your personality. You're an incredible human being, made in the image of the Creator. You're designed to be perfect. If someone says no to you, thank you, Hashem. She's not for me. Who is next? Stop asking questions.
So what is the best method to meet people or for people to put themselves out there?
Get out of your comfort zone.
Meaning what?
Go on singles Shabbatons. Go to singles events. Speak to your shadchanim. Speak to the local rabbi in the community. Go to shul. Go to shul. Why not?
I mean, how would going to shul really?
Because you go to shul.
You get seen.
You get seen by the rabbi and the rebbitzin of the shul. Let's say they do Shabbos Kedushim in the shul. Let's say, for example, I'm just putting it out there. Let's say they host singles events and you have no idea that they do. You don't know.
In your home. You have to get out and be there.
You have to get out of your comfort zone. We're so used to and so accustomed to being in the shell of I'm afraid to step out. You have to do things that aren't uncomfortable in order to get your.
What do your singles events look like?
Well, before COVID, for many, many years, Ella and I hosted events. We had 300 people.
Who's Alma?
Mateo.
Oh.
So we hosted 300 people, 250 singles at a time. Now during COVID, obviously things had changed. So we did a lot of Zoom events. We had 2 marriages on Zoom. Thank you, Hashem.
Wow.
Yes, thank you, Hashem.
Wow.
Jonathan and Goldie. And
That's amazing.
who else got married on Zoom? I forget the couple's name, but there's 2
Are you
marriages.
having any singles events coming up?
So we do singles events now post-COVID, obviously within CDC guidelines, but with limits of people and capacity. And we're working on a fantastic singles event for Shabbaton for January. So listen for that.
Is it a mix of all different types of people in terms of like religion-wise?
We try. So what happens like this? So we don't disclose the address of the event. Because we don't want random people to show. We want people who are actually matched up to show as much as we can. We do a lot of work behind the scenes.
Wow.
So we have.
So you match people before they go to the
try
event?
our
You
best.
might do a spark and you put them in the
Because
same room.
if I give an address and a link to pay, I'll have statistically 80% women and 20% men. Like it's going to be like a feast. Doesn't make any sense for the guys. So when we host an event, we like to make sure equal ratio.
Wow.
Men and women to the best of our ability. Baruch Hashem, those that come to our events know we Baruch Hashem are very, very equal. And we see, okay, so let's say Khani's coming and Mike is coming. Can they match? Oh, if she wants to come, there's nobody here for her. So I'm going to make her pay $60 to come. There's nobody here for her. Like within her frequency. So we do a lot of work behind the scenes. We try our best to match singles up. And
does it cost money?
I can imagine
as far as to join the list of
no, it's free. So we do this as a chesed. We don't charge a dime.
This is so
for many, many years. Baruch Hashem, those singles that follow us, we don't charge a penny. We really don't.
Wow.
Coaching is free. Matchmaking
Do you
is free.
accept donations?
We don't accept donations. If we host an event and you want to sponsor someone's ticket, then we allow people to sponsor someone to come. But we don't take donations.
I feel so lucky and privileged to be sitting next to
someone
right now.
It's a team effort,
Right.
and it's the
Wow,
It's really
beyond words.
It's a team effort.
They have restaurants set up for people that can't afford it. They're doing this free of charge. I mean, you have a very busy life. I'm sure all of your co-matchmaking shadchanim also have a very busy life. To do this as part of a chesed. Now, how many people you actually, were able to get into married and they have kids? It's all as a host to you. Thank you.
Yeah,
it's a team effort. It's a team effort.
This is really amazing.
This is an amazing life.
We have like a bunch more questions, but we definitely need a second round because we've been try some. It's really good. So we want to very much thank you because this is the community. The community really there's so many taboo questions that people have and are very also are scared to ask or feel uncomfortable. And this is a very it can feel like a very touchy subject, but again, reach out to Chava. She'll answer any of your questions. No need to be shy. We have a couple of questions to ask for the
I'm new here. I thought we're done.
So
Yeah,
classic,
ready?
at the end of our show, we have games.
Yeah.
And we don't know what the questions are going to be.
Okay, we'll start off with we'll start off with Chava. Chava, you ready? Okay. Chava, if you could solve one problem in the world right now, what would it be?
People's insecurities.
Wow, that is a deep one.
That came out fast.
You want to shed some light?
We all have insecurities. It's part of our DNA, our genetic makeup. We all come with childhood baggage, trauma. If you haven't had trauma, Baruch Hashem, God bless you. But we've all been through some things, and we project our insecurities onto other people, our relationships, our parents, our kids, even, right? Our co-workers, and we self-sabotage many times. We don't set standards for ourselves academically. I'll never succeed. I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough. He'll never marry me, or she'll never go for me. It's coming from a place of insecurity. So if we're able to work on that as a cloud, as a community, as a whole, I think we achieve a lot within the community. And raise a lot of healthy children.
I'll drop the mic. I mean, this is like really good stuff.
Wow.
All right, Esther, you ready?
I don't know. I'm gonna follow with that, but yeah, I'm ready.
You want to follow up?
No,
Okay.
I mean like with the question.
If you could trade lives with anyone for one day, who would it be and why?
Let me drink my tea for this one.
If I could trade lives with
That's not my
anyone.
question.
I know, me too. But I would not know what to say.
I
One
probably
person.
want to trade lives with somebody living their best life on the beach somewhere.
Is that your mental happy place, a beach?
I mean, like, I wonder. I do wonder what life would be like if, let's say, I had nothing to hold me down, right? Because my favorite animal, like, you can identify with a certain animal. My favorite is a bird.
Wow.
I like the concept of being free and
That's
flying
so
far away and
Wow.
not. I don't know.
Strings attached.
All right,
Yeah, I
look
wonder
at that.
about
Yocheved, if you could wake up tomorrow speaking a foreign language fluently, what would it be and why?
I would love to learn how to speak Spanish.
Spanish, really?
It's a medical requirement.
Yes.
Yeah, really?
It would help me a lot.
Wow, that is so interesting. Look at that. All right, this is my final question.
All right. Avi,
Yes.
what food will you absolutely not, under any circumstances, eat?
I will answer you one
Snake.
food. One food I will. Well, of course, obviously nothing that's not not kosher, but one food that I will absolutely, under any circumstance, not eat is sometimes it's a cultural dish. They make soup and they put chicken feet inside, like the actual chicken foot. Did you ever see what I'm talking
Yes.
about? You know what I'm talking about? I will
Delicacy.
never in my life eat that because I have animals and I love animals and I have parrots and their feet look exactly like that chicken foot. I will never ever eat it, and whenever I see people do it, I give them. I feel like you know who PETA is. Like they talk about like animal rights. I'm like, what are you doing? It's not supposed to be in soup.
Oh my God.
So yeah, guys, this has been real. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming out,
Thank you.
guys. Thank you so much
Let
for
us know
tuning
if
in
you want
and
another
watching.
episode.
Papa,
of
please
it.
Definitely,
let
let
us
us
know
know.
before we go. How did
Yes.
they get in touch with you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I took a hiatus. I just got married. So I took a few months off, but you can reach me on WhatsApp 347-765-6173. Or you can join our fantastic Facebook group called Jewish Divine Soulmates, and the Shadchanim on there. Post your profiles, post your questions on the group. It's very active and it's very large and amazing.
Somebody said we want episode 2, so we're putting Chav on the spot right now in front of everyone. We are going to be definitely
It's not
doing
that shambling
a part
now,
2
yes.
because we didn't get through all our
No,
questions.
we just
Right.
started to do.
Yeah.
And do you help
Tip of
with
the iceberg.
resumes if somebody has a hard
Yes,
time
yes,
writing
yes.
it?
I
Because
have
see
a
that
template.
So you do.
I have a template, the PETA template. so-
Surprise! She's ready.
Yeah,
She's
no,
ready
this is
to
great.
address
So if you need a shidduch resume template, she can help you. All right.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
tuning in.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Everybody. Bye.